Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Leigh Shulman coming live from Argentina. She's an author and writing mentor. She has founded the Inspired Writer Community, a women's writers network for writers at any stage in their writing lives. And today we'll be talking to her about the writer's roadmap. Welcome to the show, Leigh.
Thank you, AJ, and thank you for having me here. It's wonderful to be part of your show.
You are welcome to the show. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure a lot of people, not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are talking about. As I said, we'll be talking about the writer's roadmap, how one can get started in writing. You are a writer, you are an author and a writing mentor. So who better than you? And that is why you are the master for today's masterclass. But first, let me understand from you, Leigh, is that you moved from the US to Argentina. And that was, I'm curious to understand, as you say, after watching the, 9/11 Twin Towers fall, what is it that happened that, you made that big decision of leaving your, United States of America to Argentina?
Well, what happened after 9/11, when we lived right across the bridge. We saw the buildings fall from the roof of our building. And, time passed. It took a little while for it to settle and sort of figure out what happened. And for me, it just made me realize there's no such thing as the safe choice. Having a job, living in one place, the concept of settling down doesn't necessarily mean anything. So why not go for the thing you want to do? I wanted to travel. I didn't want to live in New York anymore. I didn't think it was a great place to raise my kids. So we just took a leap, and that leap was made easier knowing, because people will say, oh, it's dangerous to go to this place. It's dangerous to do that. But in New York at that time, it was dangerous. I had no idea it was also dangerous to be in New York. So you can't live your life by danger. You have to live your life by what your heart leads you to and what you truly want and the life that you want to create. So that's what led to leaving. And I will say, it wasn't that I was there in New York and I decided I want to go to Argentina. It was more about, I don't know what I want next. How do I do this? So we sold everything that we owned and we traveled all over not India. It's a place I want to go. I haven't been yet, but all over Central America, South America, Europe, and ended up in Argentina.
Right. So from a writer's point of view, I want to understand from you, Leigh, is that, how should a writer plan his or her life? Should they think from their heart or should they think from a mind? Because if you think from the heart, then, you can write good stuff. But if you think from the mind, which is also very important, then you may not be, but you will be having to look at the market. So I want to understand from that point of view. And that is where, the writer's roadmap. How should a writer think of moving forward before even writing a word?
Well, I think in a sense, those are two questions, because you can write anytime. You can pull out a notebook, you can write in your phone, you could do whatever you want. So any writing you can start anytime you want. And I actually recommend just put words on paper. Don't think about it too much. That's the one side. The other side is, how do you decide between your heart and your head? Well, for me, they go together. Like I for everything that I find that is heart and feeling and what is it that you want and what makes you feel good, I also like to find what's the plan? What's the roadmap? What's the neurology, the human neurology that allows us to make these choices and make the best choices for ourselves? So for me, they go 100% hand in hand. So in my book, The Writer's Roadmap, and also when I work with authors directly or new writers directly, the first question I ask them is, what is it that you want? What do you want? And not just, oh, I want to write a book. What is it that you want your life to look like? What is your ideal writing life? And notice I don't say perfect, because perfect doesn't exist. But what is it that, when you ideally think of what your life should be, what you really love, what will it look like? And that requires figuring out, where do I want to live? do I have a job now? Can I leave that job? What does it require to leave that job? How I don't know how to write a book. I don't know how to pitch an article. How do I learn how to do that? But it does start with the dream. And then you break the dream down into actionable steps. So the dream comes from the heart, the steps come from the mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's take heart and mind together for this. In terms of a lot of people say, that you can't make money in writing, and you say, yeah, that this is not true. I want to understand
Mhm.
your perspective so that a lot of writers, budding writers, can understand your perspective and go for writing the way they want to.
Got it. So yeah, it's an excellent question because, a lot of people will say, "Oh, I want to write a book. I want to be the next Stephen King." And that's sort of, for me, it's possible. I always say, don't give up on anything. Don't say it's never going to happen. Anything is possible. But the idea of being the next Stephen King and making your money from writing in a year with books is unlikely to happen. However, there's so many ways to make money writing, and there's so many ways to do it that it's relatively simple for people to find different avenues to make money, to support themselves, and write at the same time. So I work with people who, some of them have a full-time job. They love their full-time job. They don't want to leave it, but they also want to write. So then it's a question of how do you make sure you write regularly? How do you have a writing practice? How do you learn what you want to do? And how do you fit it in your life so you're not too much, so that you don't have too much going on? I've worked with people who didn't like their jobs and wanted to leave them to write. And then it's a step-by-step process of, because you do have to, you can't just say, oh, I mean, we sold everything. So we used the money from selling everything we had to pay for our travel. Also keeping in mind where we were traveling was relatively cheap. So because we were in Central America and we didn't have a mortgage, we didn't have a car payment, we didn't have all these big payments. So it made it easier. So you're always kind of balancing, well, how much money do I need to make? How much money do I need to live? And how does the writing I want to do fit into that? And when I talk about the steps of the plan, that's very much part of it. And that it's, when I also, coming from the head part, habit building. So James Clear's Atomic Habits, what's his name? Charles Duhigg's, the Charles Duhigg's ways of making habits. So you're constantly taking a step forward to make that plan happen. So again, it starts with, what is it that you want? Okay, so you want to make your living writing. What is it that you want to write? How do you want to write? What do you need to support yourself? And then slowly but surely put those steps in place. And it's different for everybody. Everybody has a different way of looking at it, has different needs, and therefore will have a different plan. In my experience, if you take those steps forward, you will get where you want to go. If you it's as simple as putting in the effort and doing the work, doing the research, and then it'll happen. So when people say you can't make a living writing, it's not true. I've been making my living writing and teaching for a very long time now. It's changed over the years, but it's doable. It's doable.
Absolutely, absolutely. In terms of, a lot of people who have good talent and of writing, but they never get down to writing because of whatever reasons, either into a corporate job, or it just that doesn't happen. And just when they find that, okay, they are almost 40 or 40 plus, and they think I'm too old. 50 plus, I'm too old, and nobody will read what I know. I am an expert, but nobody cares about what my expertise is. People start equating it with self-worth or whatever their position in life is. What would you say? You say, it's about thinking whether you are too old, or you want to, or you can start anytime. You believe that, age is not a factor in writing. Help us
No.
again for the people, who might be struggling with this whole idea of whether it's too late to start.
Never too late. Never ever too late. I have clients who are in their 70s and 80s, and they have a book idea, they have different things they want to do. A lot of times it's doubt and time that keep people from thinking they can do. I reject the idea that you're too young, too old, too this, too that. to do what you want to do. Those are the things either the world tells us or we have it in our head from growing up or whatever reason it's in our head. And it's all about mindset and basically deciding, okay, I get it. I feel like I'm too old. But then replacing that a bit at a time with the mantra, there's no such thing as too old. There's no such thing as too old. You know, I've seen, you know, memes on Instagram and Twitter where it talks about when different people published their first books or started art or started whatever it was that they wanted to do. And why not? Why would anyone be too old to do something that when you have experience, maybe you have time, you have ability, you have all these things, why not? A 20-year-old, it's not, you know, you could also say to them, you don't have the expertise, you don't know what you're doing. Well, that's pointless too. Anybody can start at any time they want. It's a matter of finding the resources, finding a community. And that's very much why I've started my community, because when the whole world is telling you a message of you can't, oh, it's too old, aren't you scared? This is the doubt. You need people around you who can say, yeah, I get it's hard. I understand that you feel that way. Let's put that aside for now. And what are the steps that you're going to take to make it happen? And the people who say, cheer you on, you've taken a small step, it was hard for you. Awesome. What's your next step? Let's celebrate your step. Let's figure out the next step. And that's what helps you move forward and forget about the voices that happen outside of you and also the voices that are in our heads saying, oh no, can you do that? You're too old. You're too this, you're too the other. It's just not true. And I also want to be clear, like I have those doubts also. I definitely have those doubts all the time. And that's why I know that this process works, because that's what I use to get past it. And, you know, I'm at the point now when somebody tells me something like puts a limit on me, who puts a limit on me because of age or ability or where I live or what I can do. No, I don't listen to that. That's not the message I want to hear. And I'll go to my community and figure out how I can do the thing that other people are telling me that I can't do. So, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well explained, Leigh. Now, in terms of, you know, fine, I get down to writing, and I think I'm an expert. People think I'm an expert, but when I take my book to the publishing houses, they don't care, and I feel rejected. That rejection is very difficult, you know, because it's very difficult to understand after so many years of success for so many, especially if you are an expert, you don't know how to deal with that, and you may just forget these guys don't even understand what I am writing, and perhaps nobody will. Perhaps, how do you deal with that situation, especially when you have, you know, you have attained certain degree of experience in life?
Exactly. I think part of that is understanding that the book publishing world is a unique world, but that there are also many ways of publishing. So, you know, whether they're self-publishing or an independent press or it's a big five publisher, there are lots of ways to get your experience out into the world. And a lot of times it comes down to what is the best choice for you. So there's a woman that I've been working with for a while she's writing a book, she's written a book, and now she's publishing it and promoting a book on basically how you can do more good in the world, and that you don't just need money or power. You don't need to have a lot of money or power in the world in order to do good in the world. And, you know, when we sat down and talked about it, we went through this whole process of, well, what is the best way to publish? And what are the ultimate goals? So if the goal is to get your message out, to share your expertise, to find new clients, to build your business, you know, you don't actually have to go to a publishing house because you hand off a lot of control when you do that. So you can self-publish, and self-publishing has its challenges, but so does traditional publishing. The other side of it, so if you decide I don't want to self-publish, I want to traditionally publish, then it's a matter of learning the market, learning what's out there, learning who are the agents and publishers who want what you have, and then making sure your book fits that. I think also, because what you're talking about in that kind of rejection, that's what happened to my book. I wrote a book about rejection, and it's based on all the tools I use in my community. I know it works. And I actually got an agent incredibly quickly. I really didn't expect it to happen as quickly as it happened. And then she starts sending out my books to publishers, and none of the publishers wanted it. And I got a lot of different feedback, and it's hard to sometimes figure out what that feedback is. And it was very hard not to take it personally. And I remember mornings when I would lie in bed, like, is this for real? Like, what am I going to do now? Is this the end of the road? But it's never the end of the road. There's no, I read a thing when you asked before about, are you too old? Like, are you alive? Yeah, then you're not too old. Are you still working on it? Is there something different you can do? Can you try again? Can you reposition it? Can you build an audience? Can you start selling a course of your own based on your book? I mean, that's Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. He wrote the book based on the course that he was teaching because the course was so popular. There's always another road and another angle. And as long as you're willing to keep trying that and get it, and it's crucial to have support, because rejection is the only emotion that shows up in our body as pain. We literally register it as pain in the body because it goes so far back that it actually connects where you think, I'm dying. Somewhere in our brains, even though it's not true, you feel like, that's it, I'm dying. There's no more for me here. And learning to recognize that, accepting the feeling, recognizing that you feel that way, and then deciding, all right, how do I move on? How do I move forward from this? And the more you do it, the easier it gets. So since my book was, rejected everywhere, my tolerance for rejection, like, I don't even feel it anymore. I just go to the next thing. You don't want this? Fine. What do I do next? So, but it takes practice. It definitely takes practice to get there. Practice, community, support, resources.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is much to learn, all through in life, and especially in terms of books, there is much to learn, and one can learn a
Mm-hmm.
lot from you, and they can also learn a lot from your book, the best-selling book, The Writer's Roadmap: Paving the Way to Your Ideal Writing Life. What is this book all about? The name suggests something, but we want to hear from you, and also who is this book exactly for?
So this book is it's really for anybody. I work very well with women, and my message seems to resonate more with women than men, but it's definitely for men too. It's really for anybody who wants to put together a plan, change their mindset, and take steps forward in the writing world. So this book began, basically, it's a business plan book. It's about creating a business plan for your writing life. So it's all based on what's called an OGSM: objectives, goals, strategies, and measures, which I learned about when I joined a mastermind for business owners. I was sort of at a point where I was like, I can't make this grow. I don't know what I'm doing. I know how to write, I know how to teach, but I don't know how to get everything out there. And this OGSM was amazing in getting myself organized. So I decided, what a great thing for writers. And I, much like Dale Carnegie, I started working with people in helping them put together their writing plans. And the difference between doing a business plan for a business as opposed to for your writing life, which is also very much a business, is, for me, it also includes the ideal, the dream, the hope. What is it that I want this to be? It's not just, this is the mission for my business. It's, what is my dream? What is my ideal life? When I imagine what I most want, how does this look? And that's the objective. That's that one sentence that paints a picture of what you want in your life. And it's very broad. It's meant to be very broad. So, for example, mine is, I want to relax and have fun with my family and friends while I write books and empower other women to reach their writing dreams. So you can see how that can cover books, it can cover courses, it can cover teaching, it can cover so many different things because it's based on values. And that's all. Your dreams start with your values. And then the next step is, okay, strategies. So strategies are your top 3 projects, and that's meant to focus you, because you don't want to have 10 projects where you're running in between things all the time. You could do that, and maybe you're pushing 10 things forward a little bit at a time, but ultimately you're not going to be very focused. And then the next step is, all right, I have 3 goals. Let me break them down. What are the steps I need to take to actually do it? Which is, there are lots of habit building and productivity experts that talk about how to do that. And that step is very much based on habit building, productivity. How do you get things done? And then finally, accountability. I'll give a really simple one. Somebody says they want to write a book. That's their goal. You break it down, write every day or write every 3 days, every Monday, Friday, whatever your writing strategy is. And then you measure it and you have accountability. Am I sitting down to write every day? If the answer is yes, great, keep going. Or if there's something else that it's slow, but you're still moving forward, fine, you're moving forward. I need more help. I need support. I don't understand this. You go out and get resources. Or if that accountability is, are you writing every day and you're saying no? Then you have to be really honest with yourself and saying, well, I'm not taking the steps that I need to take in order to reach my goals. And maybe that's why I'm not reaching them. So that's what this book is about. It's about how do you set that plan? How do you get the resources you need? How are you honest with yourself about narrowing down your goals so you're not doing too much? And how do you hold yourself accountable? So those are the starts with the dream and then goes into the brain. Starts with the heart, goes to the brain.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what is the best way? There is, as I said, there is much to learn and learn from you, from your book. So, what is the best way for people to learn more from you and to connect with you? So that they can get the best out of you.
Got it. So you mean in terms of how people can find my work? So the best place to go is my website, either website or Instagram, because everything I have to offer is on both of them. So if you go to my website, which is my name, it's leishulman.com. On the front page, you can sign up for, I have a course that also takes you through the roadmap and the first lesson of figuring out what you want, which as far as I'm concerned is the most important thing. That first lesson is free. And I invite anybody to come there, get that first lesson. When you're getting the emails from that lesson, when you reply to those emails, they come directly to me. I'm always happy to give input on an objective. I'm saying, well, what's this plan, to give you some input, and then see, well, what are your next steps? What's going to be the best thing for you? And then another way you can reach me is through Instagram, which my name there is the Leigh Shulman. And you can have access to my course. You can see you can get my book there. You can find out about my community. And my feed is full of information about how you grow as a writer, whether it's writing a book or it's a tip about how to deal with rejection or any other number of things. Or sometimes it's about, how do you enjoy your life? When you're writing, you don't want to spend all your time writing and not see your family. You don't want to spend all your time struggling to move forward and taking steps and not rest and take care of yourself. So there's also tips for and ideas and messages for living your best life and really learning your values and how to enjoy what it is that you're doing. Because when it comes down to it, when they say, like, when they ask people at the end of their lives, what are your biggest regrets? Nobody ever said I didn't write enough books. They might say I never told my story, but that's very different than I didn't do more. Share your story, share it with the people you love, share it with the world so that people can benefit from it. You mentioned earlier about, what if people don't, when somebody has expertise and maybe nobody wants it, maybe it's not, there's always an audience. There's always somebody out there who not only wants to hear what you have to say, but will really benefit from it, and you will change their lives. You just have to put it out there and trust. So it's do the work and trust your instincts. A lot of people have programs that you follow the steps. I always feel like you trust your instinct. You know what you want. You know what's best for you. You know the variables of your life. You are the one who has to build it. Other people can give you expertise and they can give you advice. And I do that for people all the time. But it always comes back to, who are you? What do you want? Trust your instinct to get there. So that's the overall picture and how to find me. And I really look forward to hearing from people who hear this and what their thoughts are and what their dreams are and what they're looking for. So please do contact me and let me know what you want. Let me know what you're looking for, and we'll figure out how you can get there.
Absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate it.